Hey there, Powerhouse. I have a question for you. Are you ready to make 2025 your year? Are you ready to step into the boldest, most confident self and create a life and career that lights you up? If you're nodding along right now, then you cannot miss Unleashing You Live happening on Monday, February 3rd. This isn't your typical professional development event. Unleashing You Live is a day designed for ambitious women like you, a mix of fun, connection, mindset breakthroughs, and actionable strategies to help you create success on your terms. Here's what you'll experience: inspiring speakers who will share the real, unfiltered stories of how they built their success, workshops and coaching tools to help you uncover your next big steps, networking with powerhouse women who will cheer you on every step of the way, pop-up shops, a nourishing lunch, and a swag bag filled with goodies to fuel your journey. Whether you're on the corporate track, a business owner, or starting that side hustle, this event is for you. Now, for my VIPs out there, because I know you love a little extra sparkle, there's also an incredible VIP experience happening on Sunday, February 2nd, the day before the main event. This exclusive opportunity is designed to treat you like the VIP you are. Here's what's included: a sound bath session to help you tap into your intuition and feel like your best self, an exclusive penthouse social with me, our event speakers, and other VIPs. Think hot seat coaching, appetizers, drinks, and a breathtaking view of Denver. You'll receive exclusive VIP gifts and discounts, plus a private coaching call with me after the event to keep your momentum going. Of course, the VIP package already includes a ticket to the Unleashing You Live main event on February 3rd. Head to acrprofessionalcoaching.com or DM me on Instagram at AmandaRiffy_coaching to grab your ticket now. Whether you join us for the main event or elevate your experience with the VIP package, this is your chance to step into the room, shift your mindset, and create the success you deserve. The energy will be electric, the conversations will be game-changing, and you will leave ready to take on the world. So what are you waiting for? Hit pause, grab your ticket now. We can't wait to see you there. Welcome to Unleashing You. This podcast is your permission slip to create success your way. I'm your host, Amanda Riffy, a certified success coach and female business leader who has climbed her way up the corporate ladder. I've been through burnout and back and found the tools to bring fun and enjoyment to my career while creating powerful results and leading in a way that feels authentic to me. This show brings you conversations with women just like you who have created massive success for themselves and are doing it in their own way. We'll hear about their personal journeys of growing their career while still prioritizing the things they love most. If you are ready to be challenged and encouraged to reach your next level, then buckle up, sister, because the road to dreamy success begins here. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to the final episode of Unleashing You for 2024. The year has flown, and Ashley is here with me again today, and we're just going to talk through how to make sure that we are celebrating our wins for 2024 and then looking ahead to designing our goals for next year. This is the very end of the year, and it's really easy to just be looking ahead to what's next. What are the next things I want to accomplish? What are the next things I want to do? And I think it's really, really important to stop and celebrate our wins.
I think it's important for you to realize too, this is like your season finale. So this is kind of a
Ooh,
win in itself. Like,
it is.
not the series finale, but it is the season finale.
Yes. Ashley, what were some of your biggest personal wins this year?
Oh gosh. Probably when I think about 24 and just like the year overall, it was the year that we moved after being in Colorado for 10 years. So I think that was probably kind of the big thing. And I learned that I'm never going to move across the country again.
So you're done. You're done now, huh?
I also learned that it is okay to get rid of stuff. Like I felt like I became, not that I'm really a pack rat or a hoarder really. I realize if I've been holding on to something for 10 years and it's been in a basement, you don't necessarily need to keep it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to get on the moving truck and go back across the country.
Yes. That is a really big lesson. And you were really following your heart whenever you made that big move across the country. So I think that is a huge win.
And it's funny because last night we went to the beach at sunset and we took Lenny with us and she was playing ball and I was like, this is like what I want. Like, and I told Brandon when we got home, I was like, oh, this is just like my happy place. Like any place where there's water and sand and sun, I feel like it's like my place.
Yeah.
So it was good.
It is. It is your place.
I'd say that was my biggest look back on 24.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to go through just some quick steps that we can all take to really go back and just celebrate the wins, because it's really important for us to do this so that we can actually attract more of those wins, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But many of you that are connected to me on Instagram and probably saw I posted a few weeks ago, inspired by my business mentor, Jess Williamson, who posted something similar and said, like, you know what, this is our time to just really focus on the highlights and the wins. And I would consider 2024 for me a year of lots of ups and downs, lots of moments of pure confidence, lots of moments of pure doubt, lots of wins, lots of fear, like very mixed bag for me for 2024. And with my own personality style, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, and I am somebody who is always looking ahead, always looking to what's next, always has big dreams and big goals, which serves me well in the line of work that I'm in. But it can also cause me to just keep moving too fast and not slow down enough to celebrate all of the good. So my natural instinct would have been to like maybe highlight like, oh yeah, there was a couple big wins. I'd probably focus more on the things that I didn't feel like I did all the way, or the goals I didn't meet for 2024. That would be my natural style. And I've really taught myself over the years with some accountability to really make sure that we're slowing down to celebrate the win. So if this is you, this is your episode, because we are going to slow down to really process the celebrations for 2024. It's not just giving it rose-colored glasses like, oh, everything was perfect this year, because everything was not perfect this year for me. I know for you and for all of us, there were ups and downs every year, but really just taking some time to sit with what you did and who you became over the year. So I would really encourage you to go back in my Instagram feed. It's not too far back there to really look at that 2024 post. But the process that I took for that is I just looked for every win, what I would consider big or small this year, whether it was in my business, whether it was in my personal life, whether it just really aligned with the person that I'm becoming or the person that I want to become. And just did a brain dump in my journal of all of those things.
You just said something that made me think. And I think it's really cool that you said big and small things, because I think when people start thinking back on the previous year and what they accomplished, I don't think people realize it doesn't have to be, I started a business, or like, it doesn't have to be something that huge. It could just be, I took a step towards doing something that I wanted to do or that I've wanted to do. And I think it's cool to think about. like you said, the big things. And that's the kind of the stuff that stands out. But some of those little things are what truly like changes you.
Yes. Like your example of spending your mornings at the beach with your dog, like that was something that a past version of you longed for, like to have that. And so even though that might seem small in the moment of like, okay, it's Tuesday, we're going to go throw the ball on the beach. That's a huge win because that's something that a past version of you, like that would have been your dream life. And those are the things that we don't want to take for granted because they all add up to who we are and who we're becoming.
Yeah. And like with that kind of stuff, I came back closer to where family is and we're able to like spend time with people that I hadn't spent a ton of time with over the past couple of years. So it was, I think so often you get focused on like the big stuff that you did. Oh, I got a new job or I got a promotion or I moved across the country or, something big. And it doesn't have to be those big things. Some of those little things probably matter just as much as big things.
Absolutely.
You just kind of have to think back to those little things though, because it might not stand out to you when I think back to last February. Like, where was I?
Right. And I love that segue because what I did for this when I did that brain dump is I actually sat in front of my computer and for me personally, it's my calendar. So I went back to January and I scanned my calendar and said, like, what were the things that were going on for me in January? What were the things that were going, because I have my kids' schedule, I have everything on my calendar. So that works for me. But I went through and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we went to Costa Rica in January. That feels so long ago to me. But yeah, that was in 2024. And not just, oh, we went to Costa Rica, but that trip meant so much more to me because it was a trip for my son's soccer. It was a large investment. And it was something that would have been very, very easy for us to say, no, we're too busy. We don't have the money. You'll have to miss school. Like it was very easy for us to just be like, no, that sounds really great, but we're not going to see that through. Like, we're not going to make that happen. But we did. And Owen and I both went. We had the times of our lives. We've made literally friends that I am so close to now that we met on that trip in Costa Rica. So going through those things, then in February, hosting Unleashing You Live for the very first time was so huge for me. And again, you might think, well, yeah, like that's a big milestone. But me right now is focused on Unleashing You Live for 2025. Like I feel like I'm so far past celebrating that at this point because I'm already looking towards what's next that I had to really go back and be like,
and you know what's funny, Amanda, is somebody right now is listening to that thinking, oh, I'm really still trying to figure out how I can go to that event in February coming up. And they're probably like, I feel like people get to the end of the year and they kind of write off the last few weeks of December. Oh, everything's happened that's going to happen. But people don't realize like right now is a perfect opportunity where you could literally say, okay, I'm going to commit to myself. I'm going to get that ticket. I'm going to go to that event in February. And that whole thing started in December when you purchased that ticket for yourself. And those are those small things that you don't think about. Like you worked towards the big goal of going to the event, but you didn't think about just getting to the point where you're buying the ticket to go to the event is that small step that gets you there.
Exactly. Oh, you're so right. And I think about like just this past week, like I just joined a mastermind for 2025 for my own learning and investment. And that's a step that I'm taking right now in December to set me up for 2025. So yeah, I think just going back through that calendar, looking at each one of the months, each one of the weeks, what were the things that were going on for you, whether it's business, personal. If you look back at that post of mine, yes, I have all of those big business highlights and personal accomplishments of mine. I have dreams still of speaking on bigger stages, but I feel like I really entered kind of my public speaking era this year, like actually speaking on stages, actually being asked to speak at events. Like that was a big deal. That's a really big deal. And it deserves to be celebrated. I celebrated my 17th wedding anniversary this year. I put on that post, like just all of the hours that I spent with my kids watching the sports that they love playing. And while again, every Tuesday night at soccer practice might not feel like a huge thing, but there was a version of me, those who know my story know that there was a time in my career where I missed a lot of those things. I wasn't able to be in town for all of those things because I had to travel for work. And so being able to spend all of those hours with my kids, that was a huge win for me in 2024. And it aligns with the person that who I say that I am, the person that I want to become next. Like those are the things that we're talking about. Again, big, small, all of those things that really align.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of went back through your post so I could remember kind of some of the things. But I mean, when you think about like girls' trips and you started a book, for God's sake. I mean, like, there's just so many things to like think about when it comes to this past year. Podcast, like the number of podcasts that you were a guest on, how many podcasts you've recorded. I mean, just so many things that are like leading up to an awesome 2025 coming next.
Yeah. And, and I love that you mentioned the podcast guesting because I had to go back and I had to add them all up and see, like, okay, I know I was on podcasts this year, but how many were there? Like, I really had to go searching for those answers. And I said, you know what? Well, what about my own podcast? How many downloads did we get this year? So it forced me to go a level deeper. Like I could have said, oh, I was featured on podcasts this year. Really, really cool. But then I went a level deeper. And when I think back, I hadn't been featured on anyone else's podcast, I don't think, in 2023. So much can happen in one year. And if we don't give ourselves that time to go back and celebrate how far we've come, it's really easy to feel like we're not doing enough, we're not accomplishing enough, we're not becoming enough, all of those things.
And you can't not think about Greece. When I think about like you coming back from that trip and like just the new ideas and how you were so like refreshed and invigorated with new stuff that you wanted to do. But also you turned 40 this year.
I did turn 40 this year.
This is the year you also turned 40. Not that you were going to do anything to really prepare for that, but like, and then you start thinking about, gosh, and I've always, age is just a number, but to do everything that you've done this year while you were like in your 30s still, it's kind of crazy, right?
Thank you, friend. Thank you.
You're 40. Welcome to the club. Finally.
I know, right?
Not here by myself anymore.
Yeah. But, you mentioned Greece, and Greece all in itself was life-changing. I've shared a little bit about that story too. Another trip that did not seem logical, didn't seem like, oh my gosh, that's really expensive. I'm not going to fly across the world by myself, stay with a bunch of strangers. Like there's a lot of things in there that your logical brain can be like, yeah, that sounds really cool, but I'm not actually going to do it. And I committed to myself and I said, I have that feeling like I am meant to be there. So I made it happen and I scheduled for, Jude to be in St. Louis with our family so that it was less on Matt. There was a lot of things I had the small actions I had to take to lead up to that. And then that trip, again, just all in itself was life-changing. But it was that trip that I had the idea to write my book. And I don't know, it had been on my list for a long time for the far, far future, but I don't know without that trip, I would have had that sort of alignment. And it definitely, my book would not be happening right now and getting ready to launch in 2025 without that trip. So it all aligns up when you follow with that aligned action. And I think that's the next thing that we want to hit on is when you look for these wins, you are naturally raising your energy level. You're raising your vibration to actually attract more of that goodness. There have been several days since I wrote that win post that I've gone back and flipped through it again because I've been feeling like, oh, I can feel myself getting sucked into this like negative energy or what was me or, oh, I've got all these things going on. It's like, hold on a second, reset. And now I've got that document and I can go back and be like, all right, hold on, like stop feeling so sorry for yourself. Look at all the things you have to celebrate. And it automatically raises my energy, raises my vibration to be able to then step into that aligned action.
And I guarantee if somebody's listening to this thinking, oh my gosh, I can't think of anything that I accomplished this year or in that rut, kind of like you're saying, because the holidays, well, it's like the magical time of year. For some people, it really is kind of a hard time of year where they kind of get into not as happy and cheerful as a place as some of us. But if you really start to think about it, like you said, go back kind of that month by month and really look at your calendar and say, oh, wait, okay, I think everybody would be surprised to kind of find those things that they could say, I did that. I accomplished that. That was a big deal.
Yeah. And the more I struggled looking for these at the very beginning, and then the more I got into it, the more I was like, oh, yeah, and this and that and this. Because again, I was raising my energy level, raising my vibration, and I was starting all of these new ideas. I thought I was going to try to find 10. I don't remember how many I found. It was like 15, 18, something like that. And I probably could have kept going. But I also knew for Instagram, I need to find pictures of all these things too to align it with my post. But I think the more you get into it, the easier it becomes to start to really look for that evidence.
So how do you keep that vibration high going into the new year? Like, how do you end 24 on a high note and go into 25 not feeling burned out and feeling excited about things?
Yeah. Well, when it came from, we'll just take it from a business perspective first. Doing that exercise actually helped me really realize, number one, like, again, what were the highs, but also what were the things in there that I really am still feeling lit up about or want to take to the next level? So, for example, like Unleashing You Live, I absolutely loved doing that event. And so in February, again in 2025, I'm leaning even more into that because I saw the impact of it. I saw how it lit me up, all of those types of things. So I was like, okay, that's something I want more of in 2025. I also really loved the Unleashing You retreat. I felt personally re-energized by it. And anyone who has hosted or facilitated things before, I mean, even just hosting family at your house, like you might love it, but then you kind of feel drained afterwards. The retreat did not do that to me. It really energized me. Like I came back feeling so lit up and I was like, ooh, okay, that's good. How can I lean even more into that in 2025? So I think we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So there's going to be more retreat style things I'm doing next year. There are some things that I love that I'm actually letting go of for 2025 as well. I don't know if it'll be forever or not, but I did brunches. I did a lot of the smaller local events throughout the year. What I found from that, and I still celebrate it as a win because I did it and it was something new and I really enjoyed it. But when I think about all the things I have going on, those take a lot of energy to promote and sell and get people in the room for that, where I would actually rather put my energy towards building, retreats and masterminds and that sort of thing. So there's things that I've looked back at that list and said, okay, what are the things that maybe I want to let go of for next year? And what are the things I almost want to double down on even more that's going to feel so good for me and my energy and the balance that I want to create with my business and my family?
That's awesome. I'm super excited for everything. I mean, the 25 list feels long and it feels like
I know, I
there
think I
is,
overwhelmed you. We were going through all the 2025 scheduling.
it is a lot that is going to happen. And the calendar, it's a lot, but I think it's good that you are like, just like you were saying, the things that like charge you up versus the things that drain you. And okay, I can invest more in these things that I know I'm going to get that feeling out of versus feeling like you're kind of constantly having to chase something.
Yep. Yeah. And maybe you're listening to this and you're not a business owner and you're thinking, okay, well, cool, but like, how does that relate to me? I mean, just think about the things that you did this year, whether it was family, whether it was projects you worked on at work. Like, what were the things that really lit you up? And what were the things that did steal some of that energy away from you? What are the things that cannot come with you into this next year?
You know what I wish we did? I wish we did Google reviews like on our friends. Like I wish you could like give your friends Google reviews and write like and then go back and look at like, maybe there's an app for this. Maybe this is something we've got to create. Like where you write your reviews on your friends and like they can all go back at the end of the year and then like say, oh my gosh, you're right. That was like such a cool thing. Because I feel like your friends always remember those cool things that happened and those things that you did and how you were there for them at certain times. And when somebody tells you to remember back at something that, you know, that you accomplished last year, you're like, I don't remember last year. And you don't remember all of those things.
Yeah.
But if you think about the impact you've had on other people throughout the course of a year, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. I love that.
I'll write a review on you, Amanda. I'll write a review.
Thank you. I hope it's good. 5 stars. But even just at the retreat that I was on in November, we did something kind of similar to what you're talking about, where we just sat and we said something about each person in the room that we just see so deeply in them, that we feel like is their superpower or the gift that they're bringing to the world. And it was beautiful to be able to hear that from every single person, because you're right. I think a lot of times we don't tell each other enough to each other's faces.
So this is their sign. If they're listening to this right now, tell one of your friends something that they did that impacted you.
Yeah.
Or something that stuck with you.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, so looking ahead to 2025, as you're planning out, what are your big goals? What are your big dreams for 2025? Lean into those things that are lighting you up. Lean into those things that are getting you one step closer to creating that next level of life, whether you are craving more balance, more freedom, more time freedom, you know, whatever those things are, lean more into that while also saying, okay, what were some of the things that maybe served me very well up until this point, but it might be time to let go of because they're not going to help you get to that next version of you.
Well, let me ask you a tough question. This is like having to pick one of your favorite kids or something. But if you had to pick the one thing on your 2025 calendar so far, what is it you're most looking forward to?
Oh my gosh, you can't make me pick. That is like picking my favorite kid on my 2025 calendar. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know. But I think here, my answer is going to be what is top of mind for me right now, and then ask me again in 3 months and it'll be the next thing. But
here's the good news. If you say the live event, that happens in February, and then by March, you'll have something new that you're
exactly.
like, and I'll be like, oh yeah, she's already changed her mind.
Right? No, I mean, because here's the thing. I am so lit up about every single thing that we are creating for 2025. So the big things that we are launching for 2025 is the Beyond the 9 to 5 mastermind and retreat. That is, if you made me pick right now, that's the thing I would pick.
That's what I was going to say. I thought you would say something else and I would say that one. But that's my thing.
Because it's so personal to me, because that mastermind, number one, like ideally we are going to have no more than 6 super aligned, ready to move women, which I love that size group because we are going to get so close. We're going to work together for 6 months. Then we're going to go on an in-person retreat together at the end. And this is for women who maybe have that full-time career and want to either start or they already have started growing their own business on the side. So this is all women who get you. And why this is so like such a passion project for me is because I've been there. Like that has been me, and I've had to really find my community, and I want to bring that community to you, give you that opportunity to join that community. And not only that, you're not only learning from me, but you're learning from subject matter experts. Like I am bringing in subject matter experts on all of these different topics that affect us as business owners. And it's designed strictly for women who have a lot going on. So like our calls are in the evenings, not in the middle of the day, because you probably have a full-time job. You know, all of those types of things. It's just so intentionally created to help more women become that version that they are just dreaming of. So as you can tell, I'm super lit up.
I want this podcast next year at this time to be those 4, 6 women, whoever they are. And I want them to be like from their starting point when they started the course to the end, and like what they've seen, that transformation. It's just going to be Like, that's going to be so cool because you're going to see, like, I mean, you'll be able to track it and say, hey, this is where you were when you started and now where you are at the end of
Oh
this.
my gosh, you just gave me the best idea. I'm going to mark this down while we're talking. We're going to do vision recordings in that mastermind at the very beginning of where they want to be at the end. And I guarantee they're going to blow themselves away.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the perfect example. Like, that whole course takes them from a starting point and like just to see the transformation. I mean, they're definitely going to see the huge impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a transformation between the start to the end.
Oh, thank you for that idea.
Yep, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So we've got the Beyond the 9 to 5 Mastermind that is open for enrollment right now. We start in February of 2025. Then we've got Unleashing You Live in February. I think everybody, unless this is your first time listening to this podcast, just go back a couple episodes. We've been talking about Unleashing You Live, I think, on almost every single one, because that is just such a fun event.
I mean, that's just like the most fun thing ever.
It's like just so much fun. So much damn fun. And not only is it fun, but you learn so much. You talk about raising that vibration, like just being in the energy of that room in Denver is just incredible. So it's one of those things like you want to be in that room.
And I think it's probably one of those things that's unexpected for people. Like, I think if you show up to something like that and you don't necessarily, like, I even thought last year, I didn't have like these crazy expectations. I didn't know what it was kind of you were walking into, but I think people are going to be blown away by, like, I made a friend and I learned this about myself and I know what I need to, like, just the realizations that you come to from being in an event like that.
Yeah. The inner shifts that come are just
crazy.
Yeah.
And it's unexpected. Like, I think a lot of people just go in kind of like, and I think that's fine. Go in with no expectations. Like, just go in, open book, ready to kind of absorb things.
Yep. Whatever is meant for you is going to come through. And that's the coolest thing. The coolest thing. Okay. And then after that, 2025, we are also going to have a book tour because my book should be launching in 2025. So we're in the midst of planning that right now. The book tour, we'll see how all the planning shakes out, but I'm thinking 3 cities in the US to be revealed. We'll see what those end up being. But those events, my vision for the book tour is not necessarily like going to Barnes and Noble and signing books. However, that would be super cool and like author dreams. But I really want it to be like mini Unleashing You lives. Like that's what I envision for the book tour is like each one of those book launch events to be like a mini Unleashing You live event. So stay tuned for that. If you've got a city you want us to come to, vote now before we get all the planning solidified. But that's going to be super cool. Hoping for spring, beginning of summer for that. We'll see what the timing ends up with the publisher, but that will be coming. We will be bringing back the Unleashing You retreat for 2025 as well. That is going to be getting upgrades. That's also going to be really focused on women in corporate, women who want to just continue to excel in their careers without that burnout. Like sometimes we just need that to feel rejuvenated, re-energized, loving our careers again, and kind of remembering why we're doing all of this from the first place. So that's going to be the Unleashing You retreat for 2025. And then rounding out the year with the Unleash Your Story Writers Retreat, which again is something I am so excited about because this is something very different than I have ever done before. But throughout the process of writing my own book, I've found a passion for writing and realizing like all of these memories are coming back to me of being a kid, watching a movie that had a writer in it, or like I always wanted to be a writer and I didn't really realize it because I always told myself that that couldn't be me. Like I would be the kid in your report that would like have huge margins and large fonts to try to get the word count. But so I told myself, I made that mean limiting belief that I wasn't meant to be a writer. And so like, oh, that's cool. Like, I just like watching people write books. And I just love the whole vibe of like being in a cozy space and like your hair up in a messy bun, like all that kind of stuff.
Big sweater, coffee mug in your hand, laptop. I can picture the whole scene.
100%. Like just hold up, just writing.
Snowing outside. There's a Christmas tree lit in the corner.
It's like you're in my head. Yes. But I thought that was not meant for me. It was just something cool that I like dreamed about. And what I realized was that number one, if I have that dream, that means that it is meant for me. And number two, I'd never written about something I was passionate about before. So when I was writing those reports in school, sorry teachers, but I wasn't passionate about those topics. So that's why I couldn't write about them. And so that's what I want to bring together women like me who are maybe writing their first book. They have dreams of writing their first or next book. And we have writing coaches coming in. We have a photographer that's going to do mini photo shoots for your about the author section. Like there's just so much value packed into this writer's retreat. And not only that, it's got built in time to write, because as my accountability partner, Ashley, you know, that is the biggest struggle for me right now with my book is carving out the dedicated time just to write, because it's not something that you can do just in the nooks and crannies of the day. Like you really have to have big chunks of time to write a book. So all of those things, again, carefully curated. And that's why I cannot pick which one, because I love everything that we're creating for 2025. And I hope everybody else does too. And I hope that you can find my goal for this year is not that everything is going to resonate with everyone. What I found is that I really want one or two of those things to resonate with you. And because I know it's a time investment, I know it's a financial investment. And so I want you to just feel like this is the thing for me. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the year where I write my book, or this is going to be the year where I do start that business, you know, or I find my balance again in life. Like that's what I want. That's my hope for people listening and for those who work with me, is to find the one or two things in those things that just really, really align with them, that it's going to be a full body. Yes, I need to be there. I need to be doing that. So there you go. That's 2025. Now we're going to have to listen back to this and see like how closely everything aligns at the end of next year.
We'll take clips from this next year and then be like listening to it and be like, oh yeah, did that.
Yeah. And then it'll be on my wins list for 2025. Exactly. Yeah. So thank you, Ashley, for talking that through with me. And thanks to everyone who's listening. I just hope that this episode has inspired you to take some time throughout all of the busyness of the holidays and just take some time for you and your journal and really reflect on 2024, all of the highs that this year has brought as well. Go searching for them, challenge yourself to dig a little bit deeper, and then ask yourself, what are the things that are really lighting me up? What are the things I need to let go of? And who do I want to become in 2025? And follow that up with some aligned action. So thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next year. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you'd like to continue this conversation, connect with me on Instagram and say hello. You can find me at AmandaRiffy_coaching. In the meantime, if you know you are ready to step into the next incredible version of you and want to completely accelerate your personal and professional growth, let's work together. I offer one-on-one private coaching as well as workshops and in-person events. There's really something for everyone. To learn more, visit my website at acrprofessionalcoaching.com or send me a DM on Instagram and start a conversation. And don't worry, I truly want all of us to succeed. So I promise I will never steer you wrong. Let's create a career and life you love. Chat with you again soon.